Hello and welcome to today's webinar. This is an educational webinar, and in this hour, you will learn how to provide your members with a better user experience using Lobby Manager. On the call today, we're excited to have David Luna, Vice President of Operations from New Vision Credit Union, and David is going to discuss why they decided to implement the Lobby Management and Appointment solutions in their credit union. Let's real quick go through the agenda. And today what we're going to do is Steve Powers is going to go through Lobby Management Solutions, and he'll go through Lobby Manager and also with appointments. And after that, you're going to see a demo that Steve Powers will also do. Steve Powers is the Redstone Consulting Group President. And then after that, we're going to bring on David Luna, who's going to talk about improving member interaction. And we'll have 2 times where you can submit your questions and answers, and we will get to those answers, David and Steve. So in the bottom right-hand corner, if you will chat your questions to Jim Bray, we'll have 2 times we'll be checking those questions, and we'll try to get to all those questions that you have today. All right. During the presentation, we will be recording. And so next week, you should receive the recording link. So if you miss something, you'll have another chance to review it next week. So we have a lot to cover today. So let me turn the presentation over to Steve Powers, President of the Redstone Consulting Group, to share how Lobby Management Solution will create a better user experience for your members. Steve?
Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I do apologize. David Luna is caught in traffic and on his way in, so he'll get here at about 20:25 after. So the first thing I'd like to do is just give a brief overview of the Lobby Management solution that the Redstone Consulting Group offers. Our solution is modular and integrated with DNA, DNA being the core from Fiserv. That integration allows us to get significant information from DNA regarding staffing, members. It enables single sign-on. Basically, when your agents are in DNA, they also have access to the Lobby Management solution. The member interactions are handled via web and by mobile clients, and your agents interact via DNA through the embedded app in DNA, through Outlook, and through the web. Our solution's modular. We have 5 modules to it. Clients can choose which modules they want. Those highlighted in green are the ones that we'll actually demonstrate today. The other ones are available for demonstration at a future date if you're interested. Elmo Core is the self-contained Lobby management capability that we've built into DNA. It's a true DNA app purchased through the Fiserv App Store. It provides pretty much everything you need for a simple Lobby management solution. You can check in, you can manage your visits, it does reporting, you can configure your environment and tailor the setup for your credit union. The appointments module complements Elmo Core. It allows members to make future visit reservations, taking into account what services they want, which locations they want to go to, which agents they may want to be with, and when those agents happen to have availability. Again, it's an optional module that can be added to a solution based around Elmo Core. We'll also be showing Kiosk. Kiosk is another optional capability. It's a self-service member check-in capability deployable on a branch-by-branch basis using a touchscreen interface either on a PC or on an iPad. Members can come in, enter the service queue themselves, designate what services they want, or if they're coming in for an appointment, enter their appointment code and have the agent that they're meeting with notify that they've arrived. There's also an Elmo iPad option. It's to allow you to do concierge service. If your branch is invested in concierge service, then running the Elmo iPad app, an agent can walk up to a member, check them in using the iPad. And finally, there is an Elmo mobile interface that allows members to make check-ins in advance of arriving at the branch, pre-arrival check-ins. The use scenario is, you have a 15-minute drive to the branch. You're getting ready to go. You go ahead, check in for the service that you want. That gives you a preferential position in the queue as a member, so that when you arrive and enter your code into the kiosk, your position in queue is based on when you did that mobile check-in instead of when you actually arrive in the lobby. So there's a few strengths to our solution we'd like to talk about. We are integrated into DNA and into Outlook. We pull the agent and member data from DNA. Calendar data comes directly from Outlook/Exchange. This eliminates the need to maintain information in multiple places, eliminates the need to worry about more than one source of truth. It is modular. You can buy the pieces, implement only the pieces that you want. And once implemented, our solution's pretty light impact to operations. The configuration is fairly straightforward. Once it's done, there's a small ongoing resource commitment. It's a proven solution. We've processed over 1 million visits through our parent company, Redstone Federal Credit Union, and it's pretty easy to learn for both the agents and the members. The focus is around a fairly intuitive GUI, touchscreen interfaces, which people are familiar with today. Before we go on into the demonstration, I just wanted to see if there were any questions that had come in, Brenda.
Well, we do have two that have come in, and again, if you would like to submit a question, just type it into Jim Bray down in the chat box. Steve, it says something about how does the integration with Outlook work?
Sure, good question. So we're really integrated with Microsoft Exchange Server. We work with Office 365 or on-premise Exchange. We create an Exchange, configure an Exchange agent into Exchange that has permissions to look at calendars, to add meetings to people's calendars, and then our software just interfaces to Exchange to cause those things to happen. So regardless of whether you have Exchange on-premise or are using 365, the integration covers it.
Okay, and we have just one more question right now. What information does this system use within DNA?
So within DNA, with the integration into DNA for the Elmo app, which we'll show in a little bit, we have access to get to the member profile quickly with all of the information contained on there. We also do use some of the member data, particularly name and the last 4 of their social security number, to do identity validation. The system also leverages your agent information. So it looks at who's in the system as an agent, what role they're assigned to, and controls their visibility into queues and servicing members based on that role designation.
Okay, great, thank you. Right now, no further questions.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and do about a 20-minute demonstration. We're going to cover member interactions, requesting service, and how they check in. Look at it from an agent's perspective as they serve requests from members. Come back and show how we can track results with reporting and use that to optimize our business environment. And then finally, how we customize or tailor it to meet a specific credit union's use scenario. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and move on into the demonstration. The first piece we'd like to show is making an appointment using the mobile application. This piece is launched from your online banking client using in DI's context a More menu, or in Q2 an integration that allows them to launch mobile websites from the app. So we're going to go in and sign in as a member. And all of this would be done by touch on the phone. As the member, we then see our appointment list with upcoming appointments, any past appointments we've gone to. By opening up one of the appointments, we can see the details of the visit, the duration, the information about what needs to be done or brought to the meeting, who you're meeting with, when it is that you're meeting, and in coming soon in the future, the ability to push a button and provide feedback on that meeting. So we're going to go ahead and, as a member, start a new appointment. We're presented with the options that the credit union has configured for service offering categories. In this case, we're going to go ahead and look at getting a HELOC loan. So we pick lending and then home equity loan. We're then presented with the list of branches who provide that service, have agents available within the time window. So we're presented with the list of branches, our distance to each branch from our current location, and we can select a branch, in this case Costa Mesa 17th. Once we select the branch, we're presented with the list of agents that provide that service and have availability within the scheduling window. We can choose any of the above if we don't care, or pick a particular representative. In this case, we're going to pick Aaron Laney. Once Mr. Laney is selected, we're presented with time options from his calendar, that indicate open spaces on his calendar at least sufficient to satisfy the meeting duration. Starting on the 18th, the 19th, the 20th. We can scroll through the times that are available. If we don't like that, maybe we want 1 o'clock in the afternoon. To select it, we just click on the time. Boom. Brought over here. We then have the option to provide additional information if we choose to about why we're coming in, or what we want out of this appointment. Once that's done, you can see we're being reminded of what to bring to the meeting, and we can confirm the appointment. Okay, we're given a code. No need really to write it down. It goes into our appointment list. We receive it as an email with a meeting reminder attached. So once we click OK, we've completed it, and now you see we show 2 upcoming appointments instead of 1. The one for tomorrow has all the details that we went through in it. And from here we can get directions, we can reschedule it, or if things have changed, we can delete the appointment. So behind the scenes, the system is communicating with both the member and the agent via email or via text, depending on the member's selection. If we go and look at the member, we see that they received a meeting invite for the meeting that we just scheduled. It comes with a ICS card so they can add it to their calendar just by clicking on Add Calendar. If they choose to add it, it includes all the information you see below: the meeting appointment code, when the meeting takes place, what the purpose is, what we want you to bring, who you're meeting with, and where you're meeting. So that's what the member sees. Again, with the idea they'll click add it to their calendar, so they'll always have it and be reminded of it. If we go and look at the agent's calendar now, the agent has received essentially an email telling them that an appointment has been added to their calendar. This is just so that there's no surprises. That's actually in their Outlook calendar, but this says, hey, we just added this meeting to your calendar. If we actually look at the calendar itself, and we will be able to find the meeting we just added. And if we open that, again, all the details have been added to the appointment. The duration, who they're meeting with, and what they added as additional information. That's pretty much how the member experience works. They can go through really that same wizard on a web interface or mobile, either way. We also provide the capability for your credit union agents to make appointments on a member's behalf. We call it a branch staff interface, but it's really there to allow call center employees or service representatives who may be dealing with a member who wants a follow-on visit to actually go ahead and schedule appointments. So we're going to go ahead and make a guest appointment in this case. First thing we do is collect the email of the agent setting the appointment, just in case there's any questions about it. Then we begin as a non-member. And this is using the web interface, by the way. So as a non-member, we're going to go ahead and request a business loan for our construction firm. Now, as an agent, you have the option to set up a meeting at a alternate location. Alternate location meaning at other than one of the branches. So in this case, we're going to actually go out and meet Jones & Sons Construction to talk about the loan. We capture that location, the address, and when we press use this location, that will set that as the location for the meeting. We're then presented with the agents that are available to support that meeting across the credit union, since it's a virtual appointment. And as a credit union agent, we pick the person we want to go to the meeting, in this case, Nicole Kipman. And then we're presented with the option to select times. Again, as a credit union employee, we have a capability here to set up a same-day appointment. So the availability starts today and starts within about 12 minutes. We can go ahead and pick a time today, like 3:30 p.m. And selecting that, we're just notified, that this is outside the normal time window. But once we press OK, the appointment gets set up. Here we have to provide the information on the guest, Mr. Jones, and contact email. And again, here's what's to bring, and we confirm the appointment. So that's how, acting on behalf of a member, a credit union employee can quickly set up, a member or a non-member can quickly set up an appointment visit for those individuals. That's really kind of it for the front-end piece for the member. Now we'd like to show what can happen when they come into the lobby. So we're moving to what we call our self-service kiosk. It's a touchscreen-driven interface to allow members and non-members to check themselves in when they arrive in the lobby. It can support multiple languages. So if you have a strong language contingent for a particular language, they have an option to select their language. If we go back then as a member, we can click on I'm a member, begin the login process. This time we'll just log in by name or identify yourself. Ralph Mistum. And then once we've identified ourselves, we can select what services we want from the list that the credit union's configured. In this case, a credit card, and selecting multiple services, we're going to go ahead and look to become a personal member. Now we have 2 reasons selected, it says, and we finish the visit. And that's how easy it is on walk-in to come in, say what you want, either member or non-member. Now we're going to check in for the appointment. So as we come in, we just want to confirm our appointment check-in, enter our 6-digit code, and we are now checked in for an appointment, and the representative that Diana's here to meet has received a notification that she's here in the lobby. So that's really the experience for members when they come into the lobby, what they see, how they check in. We'd like now to kind of flip to the agent's perspective on this. As an agent, this is the primary screen we see. It is the visit queue for us, our skill set for the branch. You can see we have multiple people in it awaiting service, and we've processed 1 visit through so far today. And if you can see also, as we look at Diana McKeamy, she came in for a home equity loan appointment meeting with Aaron Laney, and there is her code if it's needed. So as an agent, I can select any of the individuals in the queue instead of having to choose the first person. Normally I would pick the first person unless the thing they were in for was a skill I didn't have. So if I wasn't able to do debit cards, but I could do credit cards, I would choose to service Mr. Mistum by acknowledging his visit, which moves him from the general waiting queue to my visits processing queue. And he moves to in process in the histogram above. When I complete the service with Mr. Mistum, I can mark it as complete. That brings up a credit union configured list of services or products, and we can indicate that Mr. Mistum did get a credit card on this visit and provide any optional comments if we choose to, or just clicked OK. That completes Mr. Mistum's visit. He now has a credit card, and as an agent, I can go back to the visits queue and pick the next person that I'm looking to service. I wouldn't pick Diana because she's here for a particular individual. So that's really, the basic agent experience in the system. Some branches may have multiple queues set up so that as agents are their specializations, they get assigned to one of the queues at the branch. Moving along a little bit, I'd like to show the lobby snapshot briefly. This information gives you visibility across all the branches in your credit union. It can show you how many people are scheduled, waiting, in process, or completed. It also shows you where you have multiple queues in a branch. So looking at Costa Mesa 17th, you can see we have 2 waiting and 2 completed. And we have 2 queues. There's a business services and an MSR. Members are put into the queues based on which service they select, and agents are assigned to the queues based on their skill settings within DNA. So this is just convenient. Our credit union uses it to monitor traffic. They also use it to be able to redirect members to a non-busy branch if they come in and wait times are significant at the branch they're at. Moving on, we'd like to demonstrate reporting a little bit. We provide reporting in 4 different ways: visit statistics, which is volume at locations; reason statistics, which is kind of volume tied to what people came in for; visitor statistics, which allows you, really targeted at call center employees, to be able to go back and find interactions that have taken place and look at who supported the member and what happened on that engagement; and employee statistics, which allows you to look at the productivity of a particular individual. We're going to go ahead and start out looking at visit statistics for the prior month. At a daily interval, and we just query. We're then presented with the branches that had activity in that month, and a couple of graphs showing us how many people came in, how many people left before service was actually delivered. And then down below, across the credit union, what was our average processing or handle time, and what was our average wait time before a member waited before beginning the service engagement. We have the option of looking at a specific branch by just clicking through to the branch, and then we see the data for just Costa Mesa 17th. Then we can choose a particular service queue at that branch to see what was going on in the general service representative queue, and then finally look down to an individual level and see how one particular agent has performed. So that gives you a great ability to look at your historical data, look at volumes across your branches and compare them, and then really look at the work being performed by particular individuals. Moving forward, we're going to look at the reason statistics, and again look at the prior month, although it could be any date range we really wish to look at. And we're looking at it at the credit union level. So this shows us what members came in for on the top graph. Um, you know, deposit accounts was high volume, home equity loans was high volume, closing a business account was low volume. And then down below, corresponding the wait times and the handle times for each of those services. So, if we had a high volume service with a high wait time, we probably would want to review the staffing we had assigned to support that. We can tunnel this down to a particular branch if we choose. So a supervisor could say, I just want to see for my branch how this is going on. And then once we're in a branch, we can select just a particular service, such as credit card. Look at the information for credit card, and then also see a summary of which employees supported them during that time interval, how many interactions they handled, what was their wait time and process times. This would allow you, if you had a particular service that was showing a high wait time, to figure out if it was one particular individual that needed some additional training. Okay, finally under reporting, we wanted to go ahead and look at the member statistics briefly. Member statistics are again queryable by the member, and once we find the member, we can select the right member, set a date range that we want to look over. Maybe they said last summer I had an unhappy interaction. We query, can see their different interactions in the table below. If we click through on one of those rows, we get the details on that visit. So we can see what they came in for, or and we can see how long they waited, how long they were in process, what agent serviced them, and then if they bought a product, what that was. Just good information to begin research if you have a service recovery event. Okay, so that's generally the reporting capabilities of the system. Would like to show you generally how we can configure things to meet what a credit union is looking for. So we go to the Administration tab in the system. This allows you to define your branches, all of them. Upload images if you wish, but you set the hours of operation, you provide their location for mapping purposes, indicate which queues are at the branch, and also what the hours of operation are, and then some more technical details on the other tabs. Once we've set up the branches, we can then go in and set up the reasons we want to show members for coming in for a visit. The reasons are kept in a two-level hierarchy, a category, and then items under a category. All of it is configurable by the credit union. You choose the category to define the categories. You choose to define the services within the category so that it matches how you want to present yourself to your members, both really for the self-service kiosk when they check in, and also for the appointments when they go through setting up a future appointment. Lastly, we're going to move to the queue tab. On this tab, we're able to select a branch, and then we could add a queue if we wish to find another one, or change the items assigned to this particular queue. So if we go ahead and the business services has the business account services. If we go to the MSR queue, we'll see the more general services. We can choose to take the share certificate off the list by removing it. That will then make it so it's no longer presented as an option for making appointments or for self-service check-in. To add it back, we simply select an add. By doing this, we define across the three queues at the branch which queue a member should go into based on the service they select. And those queues also get defined to which agents are supporting them. That's a general overview of the configurability, really kind of how you build it to match which you want to do. At this point, we're going to switch to really the appointment administration interface. So as an admin for the appointments, global admin, you set up much of the way appointments operates for the credit union. On the settings, you can define the time window, how far in advance you want to let people make appointments. You can set up whether your default preferences are email or text for communications, and whether they should automatically opt into receiving reminders. Over on the Reminders tab, you can define the reminders you want them to receive. We're set up to send one at 3 days, 1 day, and 1 hour through this setup. We could delete one by clicking on the trash can icon, or add one by clicking on Add. Edit to modify it. Maybe we wanted it 2 hours in advance instead of 1. All that's configurable right here, as well as setting a blackout window where no reminders will be sent. None of us want to receive text messages at 3 in the morning. So we put in the ability to configure a blackout window. Appointment reminders won't be sent in that window, but ones that were passed will be sent once the window has passed. So moving to the Managed Services tab. As the global admin, one of our jobs is to configure the services that the credit union will offer to its members. And we do that here. So we can go in and we can configure up the services we want to offer or not offer. So if we go into Account Services, you remember how earlier we removed the share certificate. We can go ahead and just disable that service across the credit union by clicking that and pressing Save. So now share certificate is no longer a service. We can also, if we want to change an image, the image that's presented for a service, we can go to the Home Mortgage service, Lending Home Mortgage, choose Select Image. Check, in this case, we'll pick the house icon. Boom. And then that's how it will be presented to members. We have the option to change the description and also change what the documentation we want them to bring. Finally, over on the right panel, we can adjust the meeting duration if we choose. We can also change who can make this appointment. So we have 3 buckets. An appointment can be made by everyone, appointments that can be made by service reps and members, and appointments that can only be made by service reps. Now everyone can come in and want to become a member. Clearly, if we want to, anyone can come in and apply for a mortgage. Other services we may limit to a service rep, such as an account service where you already have to have the account. In certain cases, we only want service reps to offer them service, schedule the appointments. And a good example of that would be a loan closing, where we only want the rep to schedule it, not the member. So that's, as a global admin, how we can set this information up to cover all of the branches. And we would go through that for each of the services we offer. Once that's done, we can then turn towards configuring the individual branches by going to Manage Branches and selecting Services. Here, if we pick on Leisure World as an example, we can go ahead and disable a particular service. At this, we'll turn off investments. Their investment rep is gone. Maybe they haven't backfilled him. So we're going to disable investments as an option for appointments at that location going forward. This information, by the way, is also accessible to each branch on a branch-by-branch basis if they designate a branch admin. So the branches can control their own service offerings, or it can be administered globally. Finally, we'd like to go ahead and look at configuring resources. Configuring resources is assigning agents to service appointments, defining which appointments they service. And so we'll start at the Bolsa branch. We've had a lot of people coming in. We need to add a couple of agents. So when we press Staff, select Staff, it queries DNA for the available agents, and we can go ahead and search, find an agent, and search and find another. Add both of them to our services queue so that they're both now available for serving appointments. Then we need to go ahead and define what they do. In this case, Ms. Thurman is going to handle all types of visits. So that just turned her on for handling all appointment types. Ms. Weaver is an investments person, so we find and she gets enabled for investments only. That is how simple it is to kind of add resources and to configure which types of appointments that will support. If we go ahead now, we're going to de-roster the two people we just added, i.e. remove them from the list of agents supporting this branch. That's pretty much as simple as it was to add them. We save the changes. When we do that, it tells us that a number of services that this branch is signed up to accept appointments on now have no resources assigned to them. So this would be a confirmation message to the admin configuring this to go figure out how to handle those types of appointments, whether it would be by removing them from the appointment options or assigning them to available resources or adding another resource. So we go in and confirm. That really was how we go about assigning resources to service appointments. Important to understand in this situation is they can be signed up for appointments, but they're only presented as available if they have availability on their calendar. So if there were commitments like they went from lunch from 12 to 1 every day, they just add a lunch appointment to their calendar and they won't be shown as available. Or if there's a branch meeting or any other thing that ends up being on their calendar, we don't offer that as an appointment time to the member. So lastly, we'd just like to touch on reporting for the appointments functionality. We currently have one report configured. We're working to establish 2 more reports. The reports look at the data over a time interval. You can look at it as a graph. You can look at it as a table view. If you want to, you can print this information. And the printing gives you the option to print it to PDF so that it can be distributed via email or print to paper. This concludes kind of the demonstration of the system.
And Steve, while we're waiting for David to join, I did have a few questions that came in.
Let's go through questions, if we could.
Okay. So, Jim, maybe just shoot him an email real quick, David, and make sure he has the right phone number to call in. We had a couple of questions that came in that were asking for appointments. What if an employee needs to leave? Who else gets the email, or how can we see who was scheduled for an employee?
Sure. Okay. So there's a couple of things. On the service rep configuration capabilities, if an employee has to leave unexpectedly, we have an option to disable them in essence, and covers a time window that you configure. When that happens, if they're disabled and there are appointments within that window, the administrator gets notified. Secondly, each credit union branch has a calendar, a shared calendar the branch can look at that shows all appointments at that branch. So if an employee had to leave unexpectedly in a day, you would very quickly be able to see what appointments that he had simply by looking at that shared appointment calendar for the branch. In the interest of time, we didn't go through that in the demonstration, but the branch really has 2 calendars, an appointments calendar and what we call a blackout calendar. The blackout calendar indicates times where the branch as a whole does not wish to take on appointments. So you put a blackout, perhaps a lot of members come in at lunch, and it'd be much better if the appointments were later in the afternoon, the walk-in traffic around lunch. You simply put a blackout on the blackout calendar saying, hey, no appointments from 11 to 1, Monday through Thursday at this branch.
Okay. And then I had another question. They said they have to have a code sent to them to complete the request. It's a question mark. Do they have to have a code sent to them to complete the request?
By complete the request, I assume meaning complete the setting of the appointment. And the answer is the code is sent simply as a quick, easy way to remember the appointment, to be able to confirm it when coming in the lobby, not something that they have to get and acknowledge back to the institution. So once they press, complete at the end of the appointment setting function, that appointment's set. The code is really used basically when they come to check in.
Okay. And I'm not sure I understand this one, but it says, does lobby management allow more than one member to each employee?
No. An employee can only be servicing one visit at a time, one interaction with a member. They would not have two different interactions going on at the same time.
But we do have one other question, and that is there a section to assign member to Spanish-speaking agent?
So when a member comes in, so a couple of things that can be done. In the appointments system, when you assign resources, we have a place where you can designate language skills. That will show under the agents when you're selecting agents, so that if you need a Spanish language skill and presented with a list of agents, it'll show you if they have that skill and you can select them. Secondly, when you come into the lobby to check in, if you choose an alternate language such as Spanish and go through the check-in in that process, then when the queue information is shown to the agents, it will show what that language preference was. So that if, as an agent, if I saw that the person was Spanish speaking, was looking at use Spanish on the kiosk, and I couldn't do that, I generally wouldn't select them. Or alternatively, if I had a strong language skill for Spanish and I was looking at who to select, it would show me that that member preferred Spanish and I could select them. So by these two ways, we really make it visible to the member and to the agent so that we can pretty easily pair the member with a person with the language skill they're looking for.
I have one more question, or actually two more. This one is back to the lobby management. What if we use remote services and leave member in the office, move on to the next member? Can we hand them off to a remote service or a remote room?
Yes, there's a transfer capability in the system to assign members to alternate service representatives. In this case, we would hand them off to the service agent providing the remote service using transfer, I think, and then be able to go ahead and select an additional member.
Let me just go ahead and jump in here real quick, you guys. Thank you so much, Steve, for inviting me. My name is David Loon. I'm the VP of Operations here at New Vision Credit Union. Just a little bit about us. New Vision was founded in 1935, originally as Douglas Aircraft Company Credit Union. We're headquartered here in Huntington Beach, California. We serve many SEG groups, with the largest being Boeing Aircraft, Sempra Energy, which is the gas company, and Marathon Refinery. In the past few years, we've been looking at ways to enhance our value to members, doing so by beyond organic growth. To do that, we've been aggressively exploring cooperative mergers in that ongoing strategy, so expanding our field of membership. In the past 2 years, New Vision's had 5 successful mergers: American Federal Credit Union in 2017, United Peoples in 2018, First Cheyenne also in 2018, Denali Federal Credit Union just this year, and then Cheyenne, which is the 3rd credit union in Wyoming as well. Denali is in Alaska and Washington. So we've grown to 2.38 billion in assets, approximately 187,000 members, over 31 branches in 5 markets: Alaska, Washington, California, Wyoming, and Arizona. Over 530 employees as well. So one important strategy for us has been to differentiate ourselves from others by providing a level of service that is deep, meaningful, and centered around members' needs and wants. How we've gone about doing that is by looking for ways to leverage technology, having meaningful conversations with our members, and striving to provide top-class member experience. In order to begin to provide these experiences, we wanted to give members a way to make appointments in advance to visit branches. We wanted a way to allow them to pick and choose which branches, which team members to assist them, and at what time that was suitable to them. We teamed up with a vendor and were able to configure a system to do this. The system was web-based and had multiple layers to configure team members in branch locations. Once the system was in place, administering the system was a little bit labor-intensive. The global administration of that program was shared by 1 or 2 individuals, and that was for the entire organization. Now, at that time, New Vision was half the size and was extremely time-consuming, as the global admin had to work as a single source with all the branch managers to update each of their branch personnel. Who was new, who had left, who was the correct resource for what appointment type, etc. Very labor-intensive and a lot of room for errors and information to fall within the cracks. So in search for a system that could deliver an appointment and lobby management system that would address some of the gaps found in the previous system, we found Redstone Consulting and their newly released application, the Electronic Lobby Management Operation, or ELMO. Right from the initial introduction, we knew that this was a solution that was different, that it was an app directly embedded into DNA, unlike the previous system. This means that employees that are to be configured on the system are automatically stored on the system as soon as they are onboarded onto DNA with a person number. Also, from a member standpoint, the system is configured to recognize any member that has a person ID number on DNA. So these 2 features alone made it a standout significantly from what we used to have. So ELMO works off multiple interfaces that work off one another to manage both appointments made by members online or via mobile, and also for daily visits by members at the branches. So a new solution objectives. Having the app directly on DNA has simplified the experience for our team and reduced agent workload significantly. Agents can log on via single sign-on and can easily access members on DNA, plus everyone can see the lobby activity in the branch in real time. This feature, along with a check-in process that allows team members to be more nimble and quickly being able to access member profiles and also act on the members' behalfs when they set up future appointments. Aside from allowing team members to check members in through the core interface, members can walk up directly to the self-service kiosk and check themselves in as well. So whether a member or non-member has an appointment with a confirmation code, they can be entered into the lobby queue for someone to assist them. These options come in very handy in a very busy branch environment. Some branches have greeters who can help in managing that traffic, but others do not. We have that experience here at New Vision. So having a self-serve option is helpful to those branches. So our experience so far, this year, so far we've launched ELMO at our headquarters here in Huntington Beach as our first test case. The team was a little apprehensive of the changes, but after a few days and some weeks, they slowly began adapting and understanding the simplistic approach of the program. Branch management team began to study the branch administration interface and found quickly that they had much more control of the resources, the appointments, and the availability of their teams than ever before. The reporting system within ELMO allowed them to understand the level of activity that their branch was mostly doing, which team members were mostly assisting and which were not. This not only helped them understand how much time specific activities took, but how that activity is impacting other responsibilities that they had within that branch, something the management team could not really quantify in the past. So we're excited to expand our appointment management system to all 30 of our branch locations in the next 3 to 6 months. Plus, we look forward to moving into an appointment setup with mobile into the mobile realm, which we have not done yet. Redstone has been very open to feedback. They've been very responsive to questions and our functional needs. They continue to look for ways to make their app stronger and better with each release. With its seamless integration into DNA and Outlook, its modular functionality of allowing us to implement only specific areas within the interfaces, Elma has been a great lobby management solution for us, and with Redstone, a great partner for us to align ourselves with. So that's pretty much our experience. So thank you.
Okay, David, we have a few questions for you. One of them is, what role or person on your team is responsible for configuring the system?
So as far as the configuration of the lobby management system, so the iTeam Systems Analyst team works with Redstone and all the server connections, the employee access, and the authorities within DNA. The configuration of each branch location resources can be worked with the same team along with the chosen main global administrators. So it's not too complicated.
Okay, great. Here's another question for you that's coming in. And again, you can type your questions in at the chat box. How hard has it been to configure the lobby manager and appointment services? And I think you touched on that, but if you could just expand on that a little bit.
So it's important to gain an understanding of all the entry points within Almo Core and the global admin site. You realize soon how each interface relies and communicates with one another. So like anything, the more you dig into the configuration process, the more you become familiar and comfortable with the process. So it takes a little bit of time to do that, but once you start doing it for one branch, then it really starts picking up, and the learning curve is easier. It becomes easier for the team.
Okay, and okay, here's another one, David. You're popular. Why choose the Elmo system over other options in the market?
So integration with DNA and Outlook is critical to us. The configuration of each branch location is fairly simple, and plus its unique modular functionality, like I explained earlier, allows the implementation of any of its interfaces to work independent from one another. This is highly valuable, especially if you want to begin slowly and to get the team adapted to it. And if you want to customize the appointment types in a manner which makes sense to each branch. So that's why it's important.
Okay. And your agents, how do they know when a member comes in for an appointment?
So one of the things that we need to do a little bit more of is actually advertise on our website to be able to get more actual appointments through the system. We've had a high level of success with walk-ins, but we are working currently with our marketing team to create additional areas that members can make those actual appointments. From the ones that we have had, they are chosen by the member, whether the member chooses the representative that wants those systems, say perhaps from a previous transaction that helped them with, or they can just choose whoever is available. And the system is smart enough to basically pick up, the first available representative if it isn't one that was already chosen by the member. So the way the employee receives that information is an email, basically right when the appointment is made. And if the appointment happens to be canceled, they also receive a notification via email that it's been canceled. So you got those two pieces, plus, like Steve was talking about earlier, the shared calendars within Outlook. The branch management team is able to view all those in advance, share them with the team, and find out who's coming in, who's been canceled, et cetera.
Okay, great. And David, I just have one more question for you. And what's your perspective of the reporting capabilities of the system? That's an interesting question.
So the reporting capabilities are very good. Management can review much of the activity from branch level and drill down to the resources and all the timing around specific appointment types. Redstone has recently launched the updates to making reporting more robust. So, we're looking forward to reviewing what's coming up the pipeline. As a matter of fact, they just did a recent release, and we're looking at some of the additional reports that are available. But they're very good.
Very good. Okay, thank you. And Steve, I just have I have two more quick questions for you. How do members how do members get to the mobile client from our online banking client?
Okay, so most online banking clients provide an option to launch associated services mobile websites. Our experience is with the Digital Insight, where we use the More menu to simply add a menu option that links to the mobile site for appointments or for advanced check-in. And we're working with Q2 as well, who has the same capability. So our experience has been that using the OLB's capability to link to external sites is how we can launch the clients, because they're not really apps, they're mobile websites.
Okay. And this kind of piggybacks on what the question for David was, when will there be additional reports available regarding appointments? So talking about reporting again.
Sure. So we're adding 3 additional reports this year by the end of this calendar year to the appointment system. The reports will cover appointments by location. It'll provide really a unified view of the agent assignments across all branches at the credit union, so the global admin on really one piece of paper can know what services each branch has and how deep the coverage is at those branches. And another report we're going to be adding will basically generate a call down list. So if you have a greeter who wants to reach out to members personally and confirm their appointments for the following day, he'll be able to push a button, get a list of all the appointments for that branch set for the next day, and the contact information for the clients. Beyond those, we add, we're looking to add reports as our clients indicate really what they need to see. All the data is available, and it's more of, learning how we can best provide the information succinctly to meet a particular purpose.
Okay, great. And this is our last question because we've run out of time. But what new capabilities are being added to the system in the near future? And Steve, this would be your question as well.
Sure. Beyond the reports that we talked about in the near future, we're adding regional reporting to the overall system so that large institutions who may have regionalized their operational support can group the branches into regions and look at the reporting on a regional level. We'll be adding member surveying into the Appointments app so that following a particular visit, a member can quickly provide feedback, or if the credit union wants to configure it, we can solicit feedback from a sampling of the members that visit us. We'll be adding some credit union driven rescheduling options so that if in that case that an agent goes away, it's fairly easy to reach out to the member, contact them, and provide personal service versus automation on the rescheduling. We'll be adding the ability to configure wrap times so that following the member engagement, we can provide a time buffer that the agents have to complete the visit, whether it's paperwork or filing or whatever it might take. And lastly, we're working on virtual appointments, the ability to not have a physical location involved in the appointment, but set it up as a virtual visit, a phone call, or a Skype session. So those are what's on the near-term roadmap.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we're at the gone over just a little bit. So if you have any more questions and we didn't get to your questions, we apologize, but just contact Jim Bray and he'll get those answers out to you. We want to thank David. It was a whirlwind for David. Thank you, David and Steve, for the presentation today. And this concludes our webinar. We will send out a recording next week. So thank you for attending. We look forward to your questions. This concludes, and you may disconnect. Thank you.